What's up, everybody? We're back. It's been a little bit since I've done one of these, but I was planning on trying to do something a little bit more intensive and a more slight deep dive. I'm probably not going to say things that are much more intrinsically valuable to this card than I would have other cards, but I'm going to try to go a little bit more in depth. I've watched all of the, for the early prelim opener. Good night. I need to learn how to format this crap. All right. So, UFC 300. We're on the precipice of possibly the biggest sporting event, combat sporting event of all time. It's the card's huge. The card's epic. People complaining about it because, there's at least one extremely lackluster fight on it. And that is obviously Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. That fight is the only fight that honestly is extremely lackluster. Jean Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. That's probably going to be a pretty boring fight, but it has the potential to be fireworks. And then Marina Rodriguez versus Andrade. That's actually the women's fight I'm most excited for. That's not a huge name value like the other two have, but both are really fun to watch. I mean, that's beside the point. This I'm going to be taking a look at in 3 separate videos, and then the on fight day I'm going to be posting them all strung together in one big video. But this video is going to be the early prelim fights of UFC 300. It's an amazing card. I mean, the fact that people even compared 299 to this, and yes, 299 was way overstacked. They could have easily taken a bunch of those fights that were that could have been really good Apex main events off the prelims of that fight and moved them to Apex main events and taken some of those Apex main events that they had, Tybura and Tuivasa, and just threw that on that card for a 3-rounder instead of a 5, It would have been a lot more interesting to see on a prelim for a good pay-per-view than a fight night main event that could have been Blades Almeida, And again, that card was fantastic, so I'm not going to complain too much. And I've really been enjoying these not shorter, but these lower tier UFC fight nights. They've been actually super enjoyable for me to watch. It makes me realize that I just more enjoy fighting than just the name value and everything attached to it. And some of them are really funny, like what Tybura did to Tuivasa. It was funny. So, starting off with the early prelim opener, you have Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Now, I have a few gripes with 300, and mostly they are the card order. This should be the main card opener. 100% this should be the main card opener. Cody Brundage and Bo Nickel should be on the early prelims. Shouldn't even be a discussion. These two should be the main card opener. Huge names, former champs, really potential for a great fight, even if I do think that Figgy's going to get a TKO fairly early on into the second round. This should be on the main card. And then Jim Miller versus Bobby Green, which is also on the early prelims, should be on the regular prelims. And there's a fight on there that Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. That should be on the early prelims as well. I just think that the order of the card's a little bit messed up. But at the same time, fireworks from the early... Oh, good Lord, that's probably loud. Fireworks from the early prelim opener to the ending bell, probably, of Jamal Hill and Alex Pereira. So let's get into the card. First fight of the night, Deiveson Figueiredo, Cody Garbrandt. Who's going to win? How do we see this going? I think it's a fairly obvious fight that's going to be in favor of Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he holds the technicality advantage. I think he's faster. I would dare say he even has slightly harder hitting hands. The one thing I'm worried about is whenever he gets a little overzealous, whenever he has his opponent hurt, quote unquote, he just keeps his right hand directly at his hip all times, he's just loading it up the whole time. And I think someone with Cody Garbrandt's footwork and his power could maybe in a switch stance do something pretty damaging with just a left hook over the top. Deiveson Figueiredo is not perfect by any means, but I think he's going to be too fast for Cody. I think Cody's going to be reacting rather than being active at all to things. The one thing I'm a little worried about is if Deiveson Not even. I'm not too worried about it because Deiveson, if he goes for takedowns and whatnot, he's a technically better grappler from what I've seen from Cody, especially recently. And I just don't think that grappling is going to be too much of a factor considering what Rob Font was able to do to Deiveson Figueiredo. Whenever he got him down, he literally just picked him up off of him, basically. He just picked him up with feet on hips, picked him up, threw him off. That's pretty much how the grappling exchanges went after Figueiredo got a takedown. And I think that it would be pretty much the same here. I don't really see Deiveson Figueiredo having too much success with holding Cody on the ground. But I do think he'll shoot for a couple takedowns, maybe keep the threat out there just so Cody has an extra thing to think about. Cody Garbrandt has done really good in his last 2 fights. I mean, a little bit of showboating in his fight against, Trevin Giles, I think. The fight before Kelleher was, a bit lackluster. I mean, he was doing good, but, he should have gotten him out of there. I don't know if it was Giles, actually. I don't remember the name. I watched the fight last night. But it was a good fight. And then he fought Brian Kelleher. It wasn't domination from start to finish, but he hurt Kelleher multiple times and then put him away early or mid-first round, I believe it was. And his footwork and his elusiveness still plays to a massive, massive advantage for himself. But against someone like Deiveson Figueiredo, I just don't think that it's going to be enough. I think that he's going to get hit. I think he's going to get hit fairly early into round 1. Be a little shocked by the speed of Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he's going to be on the precipice of getting injured. Not injured, but getting finished at the end of round 1. And I think he will be finished early on into the second round. Moving up the card, we have Jim Miller, Bobby Green. This fight, I think, should be on the actual prelims. I mean, these two are big names. They've been around for a long time. They're 2 legends of the sport. Both super fun, great watches. Could be both their retirement fights, potentially. That'd be fantastic if we had one of them win and then they both just kind of retired with a huge audience. Maybe not, because I'd like to see Bobby Green and even Jim Miller around. I mean, 2 fights ago, he got a knockout over a young up-and-comer in the first round, which is insane. And that I'm intrigued by this fight, mostly because I just think Bobby Green is a better fighter. I think Bobby Green is more defensively sound. He doesn't get hit as often, but if he does get hit, he kind of just goes under, which is why I was really sad that, especially how the fight played out with Jalin Turner. I was really rooting for Bobby. I do like Jalin Turner, but he's just so big. He's so big for 155 that it's like, okay, if he lands, he's going to put Bobby away. He wasn't able to do it to Dan Hooker, which is insane that he wasn't able to put Dan Hooker away, especially in the second round with that head kick. I think that was the second round, but it was nuts. That fight was insane. Barring that, that only happened a couple months ago. That happened in December, I think, in UFC Austin. I don't like that he's coming back so soon with especially how late that stoppage was, and Jim Miller hits hard too. Jim Miller's not as fast as Jalin Turner, nor has the extreme reach that Jalin does, so he doesn't carry the specific advantages that allowed Jalin Turner to get that. But Bobby could very well still just have a concussion from that with how bad it was. And the stoppage, he got knocked out 3 times in the span of 15 seconds when the fight should have been stopped way earlier. It was terrible. Jim Miller also has, he has solid dominance from top position when he gets people down to the ground. I think that will be a pretty deciding factor with this fight. I think he'll be able to get Bobby to the ground. I think Bobby will be tagging him up almost like he was doing Drew Dober. Jim Miller will land something decently, and then he'll be able to take Bobby down and ground and pound him to a TKO late in the fight, probably late second round, late third round. I think it'll be towards the later one of the last 2 rounds, and I got Jim Miller by late TKO or by close split decision. All right, moving up the card. We have Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. This is actually a fun fight. Regardless of what you want to say, this has the makings of a really fun fight. This, theoretically speaking, I'm crossing my fingers here, knocking on wood. This is 2 fun strikers going at it that could just turn into Jessica Andrade holding her against the fences after she gets teed off on once or twice. But Marina Rodriguez is coming off a really, really good win over Michelle Waterson-Gomez. Now, it wasn't a good win in the sense that Michelle Waterson-Gomez is high-level competition, because she's really not anymore. She was on a 3-loss streak, had already lost to Marina Rodriguez, but Marina Rodriguez brutalized her in this fight. The fashion of her win is what makes it impressive, and she absolutely destroyed her. It was really sad to see, because I do enjoy watching Michelle Waterson-Gomez, but she got brutalized to a second-round TKO, I think it was, and it was domination from start to finish. She was just getting smacked up, broken, beaten, bloodied, battered. Like, Marina Rodriguez was putting everything on her, and it was impressive. Jessica Andrade is coming off of, I think, one win. I didn't actually watch all their fights back. I'm not gonna lie. She's coming off of a win out after a 3 or 4 loss streak. Oh, she brutalized. Good night. Why can't I remember her name? She literally just fought. Why can't I remember her name? Jessica Andrade absolutely crushed her. Mackenzie Dern, I think it was, who just got crushed again in her next fight. Kind of. It was a little bit closer, but Jessica Andrade absolutely destroyed Mackenzie Dern, and that was one of the funniest things to ever witness. I'm so glad she decided to stand and bang with her, because it was great to watch. But, like, that, you see what I'm saying? Like, those two, they go out, they strike, and they're usually really fun. I have a suspicion that Marina Rodriguez will be getting the better of Jessica Andrade, but Jessica Andrade will just pressure up to the fence and then hold her there, kind of Merab style her, Merab versus Aldo like, and Marina just won't really know how to handle that or what to do about it. So I am a little bit worried that might be how the fight plays out. But I mean, if Jessica Andrade's pressuring you, usually she's just throwing sloppy punches while running forward at you, and then she's relying on her power and the fact that maybe you'll panic and not know what to do, which I think Marina Rodriguez will be able to easily see through that, and she'll just do what Yan Xiaonan did and just put a straight right down the pipe and put her down. I just think Marina Rodriguez is a better striker. She'll overall wear a lot less damage. I think this will probably go to decision, because Jessica Andrade is usually pretty hard to finish with strikes from what I remember of her career. I mean, she fought a ton the last 2 years in some really good not really good fights, but some really decent fights where she just like was on a winning streak, and then she fought Erin Blanchfield, lost, and then got knocked out by Yan Xiaonan, and then she brutalized Mackenzie Dern. And realistically, this fight should be super fun, but I have Marina Rodriguez by decision. I think Jessica Andrade is just going to wear a lot more of the damage early. I think she's going to have trouble hitting Marina Rodriguez, and I think that she's going to get most of the contention, make this fight most competitive off of just fence holding, which is really sad to say. But moving up the card, Jalin Turner and Renato Moicano. I'm not 100% sure how this fight's going to go, mostly because Drew Dober, whenever it was standing, was beating Moicano. Like, he was beating Moicano, and Moicano just made that super boring to watch. It was really sad. It just wasn't a fun thing to witness. And it's just, that's sad to make that happen to a Drew Dober fight, to make it just unfun to witness, and me not enjoying watching the whole thing. Whereas Jalin Turner, he usually has fun fights, but he kind of got grapple screwed in a fight that he pretty much won. Garbrandt was kind of gifted that decision against Garbrandt. And now Garbrandt, I think, is just a higher level Renato Moicano with a slightly worse striking defense and a worse chin. But Jalin Turner, he's got a 5-inch reach advantage. I just don't really see what Renato Moicano is going to do. I don't really see him being able to absolutely dominate Jalin Turner on the ground. I mean, he's probably going to be a bit bigger, a bit stronger in there, because, he doesn't have nearly as bad as a weight cut as Jalin Turner. But again, Jalin Turner is really good at hitting you. And I just think that he's going to be able to hit Renato Moicano. This is probably something that I should delve a little deeper into, but I'm just super unsure about this fight. Judging off of past performances, I think we got to give the edge to Jalin Turner. I just think he's going to be able to get it, and I think he's going. If I don't see this going to decision, I see him like cold KOing Renato Moicano, after that last decision. I know a lot of people are just going to say, oh, you're stupid, like he's going to get like taken down and then just stinking choked out in the first round or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know about this fight. I see Jalin Turner getting a KO, pretty brutal flatline KO as well, over Renato Moicano fairly early. I honestly dare say first round, honestly. But yeah, that's my picks for the early prelims of UFC 300. Let me know what you think. The next day on Thursday, because this should be hopefully going up on Wednesday. Thursday, good night. I wish I could talk. Thursday, the prelim pick should be heading up. I'm going to try recording that tomorrow after work. Sorry for the lack of videos. I do have a lot of footage stored up that I just haven't really done a ton of work on because my work schedule has been a little odds here and there. I say odds here and there. It's completely flipped on its head. I'm doing like B and A shift, like both every other day, you know, going to work at like 3 and then getting home at midnight, going to bed, waking up, going to work at 7, and then yeah, it's been a bit of a mess. My life has been kind of put on hold almost for a little while, and I've been doing a lot more stuff outside, which is good. And then, you know, focusing on making sure I better maintain my animals and whatnot instead of editing videos and everything that I could be doing. But yeah, apologies. If you like the video, leave a like. If you enjoy the content, subscribe. If you're looking for the next 2 that I'm going to be putting out, and then that Saturday morning I'm going to be putting out the whole prediction of the full card out on the fight day, just for like a last minute, like here's the whole thing just kind of summarized. Maybe I'll do that in a short format and just have like check marks or whatever, but we'll see. Not 100% sure with what I'm going to do. I don't really know how to close this stuff off, but like, comment, subscribe, share the video because I told you to, and have a great rest of your day. See you in the next one.